What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Monday Night Raw post show. It is Monday, June 9th, and we had a hell of an episode with Monday Night Raw. There's a lot of news coming out of today's show. Now, for those of you who are wondering where the hell is Santi at, he will hopefully be joining us throughout the stream. He's running a little bit behind with his own stream, but then he'll be coming in here and hanging out with us. So we'll make sure to get his thoughts as well. But in the meantime, I'm going to get started because there is a lot to get in on this. And it was kind of going into today's episode of Raw, I had seen everything that was being promoted. John Cena, Ron Killings, Nikki Bella, two big matches for the King and Queen of the Ring tournament. So I was looking at this and I was thinking, oh my God, like this is going to be a good episode of Raw. And the thing that I was least interested in was Jey Uso versus Gunther, because this is something that we have seen 5,000 times. But we all could have the thought process going into this, though, was, hey, something major is going to happen here. What is going to happen between Jey and Gunther and in this match that propelled WWE to make this announcement about a month or so in advance that we were going to be getting this rematch, and then to also just have it go out there, have it be the main event, right? So you're looking at this and you're thinking, okay, something's got to happen. But what? Along the lines of what we were thinking was actually going to go down, we were thinking, okay, maybe Seth Rollins cashes in. He just won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Maybe this is one of those situations where we get a quick cash in. It can happen. All right. He's got this dominant group. It could happen. It did not. The other thing that we were expecting was, what about the possibility of Goldberg? Friday night, when I did the SmackDown review, I was feeling pretty confident that the Goldberg direction was what we would be getting out of this matchup here. I thought, okay, maybe, Goldberg is going to go out there and attack Gunther, and Jey Uso will retain that way. And this will lead to Goldberg versus Gunther, which we all know is going to be happening soon. And that didn't happen either. So now we're sitting here with, okay, none of the outcomes that we thought were a possibility came true. Instead, and then I even said, like, oh yeah, well, what if just Jey Uso just wins and we end Raw just like that with nothing happening? And I really entertained all of those ideas, all of those possibilities. But the idea that I did not entertain at all was Gunther successfully defeating Jey Uso for the title. I did not entertain that possibility at all. And I didn't because what the hell, guys? Jey Uso just won the title. He just won the title at Wrestlemania. And not only that, it took him like a pretty long time to even get the title, to even be able to defeat Gunther. Any of you guys recall, it was coming off of such a hot freaking, for a while, the Jey Uso Gunther feud, because they announced the matchup so far in advance. If you guys recall, they announced the matchup because he won the Royal Rumble, and it was about like 5 weeks. I think we had like 5 or 6 weeks from when the Royal Rumble happened and when we found out he was going to be facing Gunther to actual WrestleMania. So it was several weeks of them basically trying to stretch this out, right? Tried to fill in the gap. And it wasn't until the involvement of Jimmy Uso, if you recall, he gave Gunther that big massive slap, and then he also got beaten and completely battered by Gunther. So it wasn't until that point of the story that this feud between Jey Uso and Gunther actually got hot. Prior to that, people were kind of just thinking, what the hell? What are we going to do? We're not really that interested in Gunther versus Jey Uso. We just saw this match at Saturday night's main event, and we had even seen it before. So what the hell are we doing here? And so that was basically the feeling, the emotion before that matchup. And so Jey Uso wins the title at WrestleMania. Awesome. He defends the title on Monday Night Raw, May 5th against Seth Rollins. Okay, wins that. Then he has a match with Jey Uso and Braun Breaker. That match was not for the title, but it ended in DQ. And then he successfully defeated Logan Paul at Saturday night's main event that was for the title. And then after that, he had the tag team match on Monday Night Raw, and then he had a tag team match for Money in the Bank. So he only defended the title against two people successfully, Seth Rollins and Logan Paul. That is it from WrestleMania till now. And then bam, just like that, in this matchup with Gunther in the main event of Raw, Gunther defeats Jey Uso. I feel bad because I feel like when Jey won, you know, people, we knew he was going to win at WrestleMania, but it was more so when he won at Royal Rumble. When he won at Royal Rumble, everybody was thinking WTF. We all thought John Cena was going to win that. I didn't have Jey Uso winning that match. He wasn't even in my top 5 of people that I thought was going to win that match. And then he did. And people were like, what the F? Why did Jey Uso win? He got so much hate for that. But then he went out there and he did this really great press conference promo that night. And I just remember him talking about, how long he's worked so hard to get here. And I'm thinking, damn, I can't hate Jey Uso. Like, I know everybody was surprised that he won the Royal Rumble. I was surprised too, but I just can't hate the guy. I can't. But we knew he was going to defeat Gunther at WrestleMania. We knew that that was what was going to happen. And so I think that kind of took out a little bit of the excitement for some people, but not everybody though. Not everybody. Like, Jey Uso still has a big fan base. And if he didn't, you wouldn't be seeing millions of freaking Yeet shirts every time you go to wrestling shows. Like, I have gone to a shit ton of wrestling shows. And the top people that I see with that their merch is mostly sold, it's Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Jey Uso, Rhea Ripley are like the top people, and of course John Cena. But if those are like the top people that you see with their merch, like everywhere I go, I see Yeet shirts. The Yeet thing just really, really exploded for WWE fans. The guy is popular. People love to do the Yeet entrance. It's a whole thing. And so with all of that, I really thought, okay, Jey Uso's probably going to be champion all the way until, maybe SummerSlam. Maybe that's when he's going to hold the title till. And that didn't happen. Instead, it ended here today, and I kind of feel bad about it. And it felt like, okay, so did something happen? Is there something that we don't know about, or was this the plan all along? Because if this was the plan all along, that stinks. If something happened, like, maybe he's secretly hurt or something, or there's a really great idea coming up that we don't know about, then awesome. But if not, then this stinks. This stinks for Jey Uso. This stinks for fans. I wanted Jey Uso to prove people otherwise because he did get so much hate. I wanted him to prove otherwise, to say, you know what? I deserve to be world heavyweight champion. I deserve to be here. And unfortunately, I don't know that he was able to successfully do that. So I am bummed at how his championship reign ended. As to why, my possible theories are, okay, maybe Seth Rollins is going to cash in, and they don't want him to cash in on Jey Uso. They want him to cash in on a heel like Gunther. So I can see that being the reason for that. I really hope the reason is not because they want to do Gunther versus Goldberg for the title. I really hope that's not the reason, because Gunther and Goldberg does not need the championship whatsoever. And in no blue world did anybody here think that Goldberg was actually going to be winning the title from Gunther. So I hope that that's not the case. I hope that the situation is Seth Rollins is cashing in on Gunther. That's the only thing that I can think of right then and there. So that's where I'm at on all of that. I just, damn guys, like I do feel really, really bad about it. So that's where we're at with Jey Uso and his title reign. But I feel like they should have given him more of time. I really, really wish. I wish they would have given him more time to be able to prove himself otherwise. We got Christopher Marino here who says Jey as the mystery person in King of the Ring. So that's another thing that people have been wondering, who is going to be the mystery person? And we've kind of gotten a lot of different names that were thrown out. I asked my chat earlier, and you guys all basically said, you gave me a bunch of names. Also, I don't know why I'm playing with scissors. I think our truth, our truth got into me. Ron Killings got into me. I'm like doing this. Literally, I was playing with the scissors as I was talking. Yo, what if I would have accidentally cut my hair? What if I would have accidentally cut the wires? Girl, get rid of the scissors. I don't know what happened there. But let's talk about this King of the Ring tournament and Queen of the Ring tournament, because there's a lot here. Plus, we also still have John Cena and Cody Rhodes. That was a whole other thing. But let's go ahead and talk about the King of the Ring. So here's what we got. Sami Zayn continued on in the tournament here today after defeating Penta and Braun Breaker and Rey Mysterio. And this, guys, was an incredible matchup, okay? An incredible matchup. I thought he did I thought that all these guys did so good. At one point, I was laughing so hard because Braun Breaker does that one clothesline spot off of the ring apron to the commentary desk every single time, right? Like that's one of the things that he does. But I felt like he did it so hard on Dominic Mysterio this week that it made me feel like like he hates Dominic Mysterio or something. And it was during this match that LA Knight came out and attacked Braun Breaker. So you got that something to get excited about if you're an LA Knight fan, because I think people have been also wondering, hey, what is next for LA Knight after he didn't win the Money in the Bank again for a third time in a row? And even in LA, he couldn't win the Money in the Bank. So at this point, I think that Money in the Bank ship sailed for LA Knight, unfortunately. So now people have been wondering what's next. Clearly, he's going to get into something with Braun Breaker. But as for King of the Ring, though, Sami Zayn advances. In the bottom left for the blue brands, we got Randy Orton, LA Knight, Aleister Black, and Carmelo Hayes. Jesus, that could literally be anybody. I think it would be more interesting to see Randy and Sami Zayn, considering that, both of those guys are very close to Kevin Owens. And after everything that happened with that situation, I think that could be something that we end up seeing there. Then on the top right corner for the blue brands, Cody Rhodes, Damian Priest, Andrade, and Shinsuke Nakamura. I definitely think that's Cody Rhodes to take that. Then bottom right for the Raw brand, Sheamus, Rusev, Bronson Reed, and the mystery person. Some of the suggestions that people have thrown out included people threw out Karrion Kross, people threw out Joe Hendry, people suggested as of recently Jey Uso. And there was a couple of the ones that I'm not thinking of right now that were also mentioned, but I don't really know who it might be though. Who might be the one to make it in there, but I feel like depending on who the mystery person is, it's got to probably be the mystery person who wins this match. If not, Bronson Reed. And then I'm thinking maybe like, fuck, what's the ending gonna look like? I don't know. Sami Zayn, Cody. Shit. I really don't know that I don't know if that's gonna be the end of it, but it can kind of go in a bunch of different directions here. So damn, that's looking good. You know what? I will say this. I'm kind of glad that this time, I feel like usually when WWE does these tournaments, I feel like a lot of these times they're very, very predictable. And this time I don't feel like it's predictable. Like I actually feel like it can go in so many different directions, which is a good thing. All right. So actually we got a couple of super chats. So let's see what you guys are saying. Thank you so much to everybody, by the way, for the support. We got Uncle Donk here who says, give it a year or Solo will be super over when he's free to be more of a comedic wrestler. So this is something that I've mentioned on the SmackDown side, is that I feel like Solo is naturally more of a funny kind of guy, because part of the reason why nobody was getting into Solo Sikoa was because he didn't feel authentic as a heel. He felt like he was just a guy trying to fill Roman Reigns' shoes. And so it just doesn't feel authentically him. However, I don't know if he's going to be like hella over, because, Jacob Fatu is that guy and he's going to be feuding with Jacob Fatu, and ain't nobody going to be rooting Solo Sikoa over Jacob Fatu. So I don't know, but I do think the comedic side of him will shine through a lot more than what he was originally doing, looking like he was trying to be Roman Reigns 2.0. Bob Ross Jr., thank you, Uncle Donk. Bob Ross here says, okay, hear me out. Ilya is the mystery opponent for next week. Wins King of the Ring. Gunther versus Ilya. SummerSlam. Let me dream. Look, Bob, somebody mentioned that to me earlier about Ilya Dragunov. And everyone here that has listened to my podcast, especially when I covered NXT when Ilya was on, you guys know how big of a fan I am of Ilya Dragunov. I think that guy, had he not been injured, I think he would have been Intercontinental Champion by now. I think they probably would have even done Gunther versus Ilya by now again. I truly believe that. Unfortunately, his injury, we'll never know until he comes back, right? And I hope that when he comes back, he still gets that same attention that he was getting when he was on Raw, because he was getting good attention on Raw. He was having matches consistently. Like he didn't feel forgotten about, right? Like he didn't feel like he would be left in commentary. I'm sorry, in catering. It didn't feel like he would be left in catering for forever. No, it actually felt like they liked him, they used him on the show, and all was good. And you knew bigger, better things were gonna happen. Now, I want to see Gunther and Ilya. Sign me the hell up. I remember like when people were kind of getting irritated with Gunther as champion, they were saying like, oh, Gunther's boring, this and that. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, I think a lot of people that weren't really like giving attention to like the stuff that's not Raw and SmackDown, all the NXT stuff, I think that people that didn't get to see Gunther and Ilya definitely missed out on that because I feel like Gunther to me has never been boring. I think the Gunther Jey Uso storyline got boring, but that's only because we saw that storyline for like forever, and it didn't need to be as long as it was. But here we are today. But no, I think Gunther is freaking great. It's just that right now the fans lost a lot of interest in Gunther, which is why, again, I was so surprised that they even put the title back on him. Oh my God. All right. So Bob Ross, thank you so much for the super chat. And yeah, I would love to see Gunther and Ilya. We got Chillin' with Chase here who says Gunther has been on WWE TV for 2,340 days. Gunther's total number of days as champion is 1,795 days. 77% of Gunther's time is as champion. Chillin' with Chase. Thank you so much for the super chat, because this is something that we have known. I didn't have the actual numbers like Chillin' with Chase, but we have known that Gunther has been champ or holding gold for the whole time, basically. He was NXT UK champion. On the main roster, Intercontinental Champion, had a legendary reign as Intercontinental Champion, won the World Heavyweight Champion, then he won the freaking King of the Ring thing, and then also now he's champion once again. This man can never not have gold around his waist, and I get, like, I'm a Gunther fan, guys. Like, I am a Gunther fan. But again, it still felt weird that they ended Jey Uso's reign the way they did. And I really hope, though, I wonder how this Jey Uso loss, how much, like, is Gunther going to get more heat now over it? Because if he does, I'm here for that. Like, let's give all the heat that we can to Gunther. I'm here for that. But I just want them to bring back the Gunther aura that he had. I want them to bring back that aura of this man can come out here and kill anybody. I remember I was not a fan of the Pat McAfee stuff that he did. I wasn't a fan because I felt like Pat McAfee shouldn't have been as successful as he was in that matchup with Gunther. I didn't feel like he should have been, because at the end of the day, like, sure, Pat McAfee has wrestled, but at the end of the day, he's not a full-time wrestler like Gunther. And Gunther has put, legitimate wrestlers through the ringer. So you just can't have just anybody in there succeeding against Gunther. So I wasn't a fan of that. I want them to give Gunther his aura back, that he could literally kill anybody. And you know what a great way to do that is? Hopefully Ilya and Gunther we do get to see at some point soon. But I don't even know anymore. And I was also thinking, like, for the longest time, I thought they were going to do Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther for the longest time. And now we haven't even seen Ludwig Kaiser on TV since I don't know when. I even forgot about him until someone mentioned him today. So I don't know. It's a lot, but Chillin' with Chase, this is a great super chat. Thank you so much for sharing this info here. Well-rounded Leo says, Seth wants power. He is cashing in on Cena's title. you're the second person who has mentioned this. I don't really like this idea because, again, I think he can have power on his own side. I think this is Cody's turf, and I don't really want Seth. I don't want Seth stepping on. I don't want Steph. I don't want Seth going to that other side. I want him to stick where he's at because Cody needs to handle his business with John Cena. All right, like that's how I feel about that. And I mean, I don't think, CM Punk's going to be defeating John Cena at Night of Champions, which we still have to get to. I don't think that's happening, and it bums me out, but we'll get to that in a second. We got Sin City Saint here who says Karrion needs to fill that empty spot in King of the Ring to play spoiler for Sammy, right? Maybe. I mean, he's been all about Sammy's ear saying how, like, he's a manipulator and he's this and he's an evil guy and he's a bad boy and this and that. It's not making real much sense to me. I don't think his promo's making that much sense to me, but hey, what do I know? Hassan Batla here says, thank you, Sin City Saint. Hassan Batla says, everyone was so focused on Rox replacing Liv, they never suspected she would actually be replacing Raquel. Definitely want to see them team up more. Well, I don't know. Right now, Liv Morgan is definitely not happy with Roxanne Perez, so that's probably not going to be happening. Thank you, Hassan. We got CJ here who says, can we send Jey back to SmackDown to team back up with his brother? It's okay. Some men are only meant to be tag team wrestlers. The truth will set you free. I feel like he's so far above right now. And I like Jimmy, but he's so far above Jimmy right now. It would really suck to just kind of like halt all that he has built, all of the momentum that he has built in order for him just to go back and be part of the tag team division that isn't even that great right now. So I'm going to say no. Thank you so much, CJ. We also got Moises here, Rosales. Moises, thank you so much for this generous super chat. Moises says, John Cena beats CM Punk in a grueling match. Seth comes to cash in. Cena on the ground pleads CM Punk for help. CM Punk says, I'm sorry to him and lets Seth pick up the pieces. Dethroning Cena, kicking off Cena's face turn. Here's the thing, though, Moises. I do not see CM Punk ever helping Seth Rollins in any sort of way, even if it's just him ignoring the situation and walking away. I do not see CM Punk, especially right now. He definitely feels like he hates Seth Rollins more than he hates Cena. So I do not want to see CM Punk at all help out Seth Rollins in any sort of way, whether it's intentional or unintentional. I don't want to see that at all because Seth Rollins and CM Punk, there's been so much hate there. This feud has been going on since CM Punk walked back into WWE. So that's the only reason why I can't see this really playing out. And it bums me out that I also feel like it bums me out that we're all already expecting CM Punk to lose. And we know why we're expecting CM Punk to lose. And the reason we're expecting CM Punk to lose is because this match was announced for Night of Champions. We'll get to that in a second, but thank you so much, Moises Rosales, for this. We also got Golden here. Golden, thank you so much for the super chat. Didn't write a message, but still thank you for that. Moises also says, thoughts on who Ron Killing starts a program with? Ooh, that's a good idea. What if it's Karrion Kross? I'm sorry, he was just, I think because someone just mentioned him right now that he was kind of fresh in my mind, but why not? Why not Karrion Kross? He can go in there and just be like, or I know right now Karrion Kross is, getting a little over with the fans, but he's still a heel. That could be something. I'm trying to think who else would be kind of cool to like go in there with, because he has to go in there with somebody that's, I mentioned Ludwig Kaiser. Ludwig Kaiser is very pompous. Ludwig Kaiser's like, look at me, I'm this, I'm perfect, I'm great. What if Ron Killings was like, shut the F up, man? Like, you're not all these things that you say you are. I'm trying to think who else. Maybe Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, one of those guys, someone that he can like just beat the hell up. I think that might be a direction that I can see him going into. I hope I'm not missing anybody else. It's super obvious, but thank you, Moises. Anthony Giuliano here says, I'm so excited to see R-Truth's new character and where it will go. Are you excited too, Denise? So when I saw that R-Truth was going to be coming back as Ron Killings, first of all, that was, I was processing all of what has occurred in the last couple of days, right? And everything that's been reported, what Triple H said, and just all of that has been it's been messy. It looks messy, and I feel like there are a lot of things that you're just like, ooh, this person kind of doesn't look good in this situation. The only person that won in this situation, in what's been said, it's Ron Killings. He is the only person that looks good coming out of this whole situation, because now he probably ended up in a situation where he got more money because of the outrage and the outpouring of love and support and people wanting him back in the company and people being mad at the people in the company because they couldn't come to some sort of an agreement with Ron when it came to his WWE contract, and him ended up getting released. All of that, plus the way that Triple H answered the question, people were kind of like, what the hell? Like, people were very like upset about that too. I was reading a lot of those comments on those videos today. So it's just been a very messy situation. But hey, he's back now, and he's a totally different, version of what we've seen in WWE. Now he's Ron Killings. He's serious. He freaking cut off his dreads. I was not expecting that. And however that idea came about, though, was really, really great. I'm glad that they did that, because anybody that you see go out there to cut off their hair, to that chops it off, you're instantly gonna look at that person and be like, dude, that person's freaking crazy. Like, what the hell's your problem? You're going out there and cutting your hair. What's wrong with you? And so that's exactly what we saw R-Truth do, Ron Killings do. But to me, it wasn't even the part of him cutting his hair. I think it was all that he said after he cut his hair. Everything that he said afterwards is what got me going, holy shit, because you could really feel the passion. Like, you could really feel the anti authority in his voice, like his passion, everything he was saying, even though he didn't go out and be like, F you guys for not wanting to do this. He didn't say anything like that. But when he was talking about, the truth setting you free, it felt like there was just so much emotion behind that, and so much truth to that. I had to say it. It was just all this raw energy, and that's why it hit so hard. So it wasn't even, to me, the hair part. It was the part afterwards and everything he said afterwards that just hit like 1,000 pounds. So I really, really did enjoy that, and I feel like this is like the biggest turning point in his career. I feel truly, I think this is going to be the biggest turning point, because now with Ron Killings, he's not going to be seen as just the guy who can have a goofy segment in the back, as the guy that you don't take seriously, as the guy who's just there to give a couple ha-has. No, now he's going to be seen as someone that could, legitimately go after the Intercontinental Championship if he wanted to. You can see that as something more legitimate in his cards now, because of the alteration in his character. Thank you, Anthony. We got CJ here who says, don't let them days as champion stats fool you. Us Gunther fans been in the trenches. Triple H fumbled most of his previous reign, and we had to beef Pat. Look, like I said, I really think Gunther is the freaking man. The problem was that it was just the running back the Jey Uso stuff way too many times, killed a lot of momentum for that. Remember when Gunther was feuding with Damian Priest? That Gunther Damian Priest feud, I liked that feud. Him being such a jerk to Damian Priest, telling them he was street trash and all of the things he said to Damian Priest. It was that Damian Priest Gunther feud that made me like Damian Priest more, coming off of the championship reign, than anything else they did with Damian Priest as champion. Like, that was my favorite thing, was the stuff that he did with Gunther. And so Gunther as Intercontinental Champion was the shit. He was the shit. And then they just kind of lost it. They kind of lost it during the actual reign, but for the world's heavyweight champion. But we'll see what happens. I'm not expecting Gunther to be a long champion after having defeated Jey Uso. I don't expect it that long. We got Uncle Donk here who says Triple H. We also got, or maybe not like that. I don't know how you meant it, Gunther. Just HHH. We also got Golden here who says match felt slow and boring after Worlds Collide. Worlds Collide was a totally different kind of show. I was a little bit more tired because I did do both shows back to back. I was a little bit more tired following Money in the Bank. Worlds Collide, but I was still very much looking forward to Money in the Bank. So, I didn't think that the show was bad though. I didn't think so. I thought there was a lot of fun stuff, but I don't know. I almost feel like I might have enjoyed Raw a little bit more than I actually enjoyed Money in the Bank. I'm not so sure about that, but maybe it's just because I just watched the show. Minus the ending for Jey Uso and Gunther. Thank you so much, Golden, for the super chat. Very, very cool of you. All right. So with that being said, I do want to go ahead and get into the John Cena CM Punk stuff because you guys know that right there, that's what I thought was going to be the biggest story coming out of today. So oh my God. So we had, a whole history with John Cena and with CM Punk. All right. We don't even need to run all of that down, but we had known that when CM Punk was doing when John Cena was doing his farewell tour, CM Punk was amongst the names of people that we wanted to see get back into the ring with John Cena. And so John, since then, has been doing all this stuff with Cody, the stuff with R-Truth. And when he went out there, John Cena, acknowledged a lot of what's been going on with R-Truth, kind of talk some shit on him. Okay. And during this, he's saying that the fans are powerless, that they don't got a voice, blah, blah, blah. Right. That led to R-Truth's promo later on in the show. Tied in nicely. Cool. But during this, John Cena said, why don't you guys use your voice for me to get some real competition? And it was in that second that I was like, come on, guys, let's start chanting CM Punk. And then everybody's like, chanting CM Punk because obviously everyone was thinking the exact same thing. And we finally get the CM Punk chants, and CM Punk goes out there. And I'm like, all right, let's get up. This is the part of the show that I was waiting for because we've been waiting for this I have been waiting to see John Cena and CM Punk in the ring across from each other, mic to mic, since he came back. So I could not be more thrilled that this was happening. All right. So freaking thrilled. I respect John Cena. I respect everything he has done in this business. I'm going to be sad when he retires. But at the end of the day, this girl was always a CM Punk fan. I was never a John Cena fan, and I'm finally owning it. And I could not be more excited about them, facing off of against each other. That's how I felt heading into this. And CM Punk, every time he goes onto the mic, it's always so fun to hear him talk and hear him say the things he has to say. I feel like they could have even done more. Like they could do this again. Like I want to see a few more. I want to see a few more of these back and forths between CM Punk and John. But anyways, I was thinking, okay, this match is probably going to be happening at SummerSlam. It is not happening at SummerSlam. It is happening at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. Now we know how CM Punk has felt about Saudi Arabia and WWE taking blood money from Saudi Arabia. We've known all of that. And people have been wondering, like, is CM Punk ever gonna do the Saudi Arabia shows ever since he came back to the WWE? Like, is he gonna do them? Is he gonna do them? Well, as of right now, it looks like he is because someone said earlier it was like this monkey's paw thing where it's like, yes, we're going to get John Cena and CM Punk. And yes, it's going to be for the title. But hey, it's happening at this show in Saudi Arabia. I don't feel like this match needed to happen on that show because we know that Saudi, they're definitely paying the big bucks for WWE, right? Like they could put on any match, and they're still going to get the big bucks, okay? Literally, they're still going to get the big bucks. They didn't need to put this match on that show. SummerSlam is a 2-night event that is incoming at MetLife Stadium in New York City. Well, actually, MetLife's in New Jersey, but y'all know what I mean. So, how is that match not at SummerSlam? Like, that's a huge match, guys. Like, John Cena, CM Punk is huge. And so, that match happening at Night of Champions, I think, it really feels like a dead giveaway. John Cena's winning. And I kind of wanted to at least feel like there was a chance that CM Punk might win. But I just feel like that match happening at Night of Champions is a dead giveaway that is not happening. I don't know if you guys see that differently. That's how I see it. Maybe I'm jaded. Maybe I'm a cynic. I don't know, but that's just how I feel about it. So it was like I was going, I was getting super high for this. I peaked, I was excited. And then they made the announcement of when the match was happening. And I just went, oh, completely deflated after that. So yeah, that should have happened at SummerSlam, but That's just how I feel about that. All right, we got a couple super chats here. We got CJ here who says, the Priest feud was good, and it's crazy to me people forgot the feud he had with Randy. His aura was at peak level till the match with Cody ruined it. Yeah, good stuff there too, man, CJ. And that is kind of forgotten about because like even me, I forget to mention it too. CJ says, I want to shout out Becky because she's done good promos, but unfortunately it was an in between Cena and Punk and Ron's promo. CM Punk greater than CM Punk from like 2009. Thank you, CJ. We got Bob Ross Jr. who says, really funny when wrestling bookers apologize through their booking. Tony Khan and Triple H has done it a lot. Bob, share some examples. If you feel like you got some examples on that, please share those. Thank you, Bob. All right, so I do want to go ahead and get into the women's Queen of the Ring tournament. Let's pull up this bracket really quickly. So the bracket that we got here is Roxanne Perez defeated Roxanne defeated Kairi Sane, Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley. So she now advances, and she's going to continue on in this tournament. Throughout this, we were seeing her basically with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan was about to get pinned in this matchup, and Roxanne ended up getting rid of Kairi Sane and pinning Kairi Sane. So she kind of saved Liv Morgan from getting pinned, but in the end ended up actually taking the victory. So that's the funny part. What do you call it? Yeah, so then we have Jade Cargill, Michin, Piper Niven, and Nia Jax. That's like, I'm looking at this, guys, and I don't even know which direction they're going to go into all of this. Because when people were asking me, who do you think is going to win this? I thought Rhea Ripley was going to win the entire thing. So I read this completely wrong. So now I'm looking at this and I'm going, I have no earthly idea who is winning this. On the left side of the blue brand, my original pick was Jade Cargill. I still think it might be Jade Cargill. The sneaky one is Nia Jax. I could see it being Nia Jax. And then over on the right side, blue brand, I do think that'll be Charlotte Flair. And then on the bottom, I'm either thinking Asuka or Stephanie. And that's a whole other thing. Asuka's back, guys. People have been missing Asuka. We haven't seen Asuka in forever. So she's back in this tournament. So I really don't know what this tournament is going to look like at the end of all of this, especially now that they're trying to like swerve us in every single possible direction. So I don't know. Thank you so much to okay, sorry guys, I got a little distracted. I was reading Santi's message, that's why. And I was like, oh, I was about to say thank you to Santi, and instead I said it on the live stream. I was thinking about typing it out, and then instead I just said it out loud. I'm dead. All right, everyone. Hey, it happens. It's live television, well, live YouTube vision, and that's where I was at with all of that. All right, we got a couple of super chats, so I'm going to go ahead and get into all of these. And if you guys have any better suggestions for the women's, I feel like I'm usually really good at trying to figure out who's going to win what's going to happen, what it's going to lead to. But right now, I feel like they're constantly trying to trip us up. Like they're trying to be like, you think you know what's happening. You think you know these storylines because you've been watching wrestling for 1,000 freaking years. We're going to try to find ways to surprise you and make it not predictable. But then sometimes predictable is good and sometimes unpredictable is bad. But we'll see. Anyways. We got Ladder Jeans here who says, I'm like meh on Nikki's return. Insert shrug emoji. So, by the way, I loved that confrontation with Nikki and Liv Morgan. I loved it because it kind of got nasty, right? Liv Morgan's telling her, like, you don't got you're jealous of me because I have, success and I have this and I have that. And she closed it off with, and I have a man. And I'm like, oh, yo, considering that John Cena, her ex-fiance, excuse me, is on the show. And then, she got married and that unfortunately didn't work out. And it was kind of a serious issue. To bring that up, yikes. And so I thought like, damn, this is kind of nasty, right? But then Nikki fired back with, well, I don't even know, who your man, like, who does your man really belong to? Does he belong to you or does he belong to Roxanne Perez? And then I thought, oh shit, like they were throwing some nasty jabs at each other. And I really liked that. I really liked that. I think what I really loved about this whole thing was honestly the fire from Liv Morgan. how angry she was. She had just lost this important matchup. Her man's out there, congratulating this girl, and she's not happy about it at all. And I loved how angry she was, how upset she was that Nikki didn't even mention her name when she was running down all of these incredible women for Evolution. So now what I'm wondering is, okay, are we going to be seeing a matchup between both Brie and Nikki versus Liv Morgan and Raquel? Or are we just going to see a singles match between Nikki and Liv? That's my one question. I don't know how that's going to end up looking once we actually get to Evolution 2, but that's pretty much why Nikki was on this show, was for Evolution 2, as she mentioned. Thank you, Ladder Jeans, by the way. We also got AJ Tripp here who says, make sure Santi doesn't get paid for not doing his job tonight. Running from the grind, Santi. Running from the grind. Thank you, AJ. We got the Imperial Silence here who says, hey, there's Santi. Hold on. Santi says, Dominic doesn't belong to anyone. He belongs to the streets. Santi, why are you running from the grind, bro? That's the real story. Thank you, Santi. We got the Imperial Silence here who says, getting a close enough see and seeing myself on TV really made me realize I really need to hit the gym bad. But other than that, it was great to see John Cena CM Punk feud finally happening again. Imperial Silence, I am so glad that you got to go to the show, and I'm so sorry that you felt that way when you saw yourself. Please just ignore that. You had a good time, and I hope you did enjoy the show, by the way. But don't even worry about that. You do you, man. You do you. Do what you need to do. Imperial Silence, thank you for the super chat. All right, so where are we at now with basically everything? Sorry, there was just so much that went down on this show. I'm trying to make sure I caught up on just everything. Oh yeah. Becky Lynch and Bayley's return. That was another really big, massive thing that we ended up seeing play out here today. So, dude, I felt stupid at the end of Money in the Bank because I had sat here and I had made all these predictions about how Bayley was going to come back and Bayley was going to be the reason that Lyra Valkyria once again defeated Becky Lynch. And I was so sold on that idea and that outcome playing out that I really thought that was what was going to happen. And then she didn't come out at Money in the Bank. And I thought to myself, shit, man, there was such a good opening there. Like, why didn't she just come out during this? And so I kind of felt a little bit let down by that. I really wanted them to surprise everybody. I really wanted them to surprise everybody and have Lyra beat Becky again. And I know Becky was a popular pick, and that's the reason why. If any time there was a time to swerve us and surprise us, I think that would have been the proper, better outcome, was to have Lyra defeat Becky again, because I wanted to see Becky spiral. I wanted to see Becky basically be like, damn, I can't beat this girl. And there's nothing worse than seeing someone who is exactly like you doing much better than you, and Lyra being Irish and building her career and making a name for herself, and she's still beating Becky. Like, that was gonna creep into Becky's skin. That was gonna upset her. And so for all of this to happen the way that it did at Money in the Bank, I was a little bit bummed out by that. So then today, we have Becky going out there. She cuts this great promo. She's super delusional. She's kind of giving Karen vibes during this. And she's making it seem like Lyra hurt her. She's making it seem like Lyra injured her when she raised up her arm, and she calls for her to come out there and do it again. And instead, Bayley comes out and attacks Becky Lynch. And I'm thinking, yes, but also, why the hell didn't you just come out at Money in the Bank? Like, I really wish that this would have been reversed, and I really wish Bayley would have attacked her at Money in the Bank. Although, on the bright side, I was happy to see Bayley come back, because I was starting to worry a little bit. I'm like, hey now, when is Bayley coming back? Like, what are we doing here with Bayley? Why isn't she, on this show? And so that was starting to be just a little bit disappointing there. And I'm glad she's back. I'm wondering what this is going to look like for Evolution. I'm wondering if this is, my original thought was, I thought it was going to be Bayley versus Becky one-on-one. Now I'm thinking there's a scenario where it becomes a triple threat. Lyra did kind of had like the confused look on her face, and I was thinking to myself, why are they making Lyra look confused out there? Lyra, girl, you know exactly why Bayley attacked Becky Lynch. She kind of had the look of like, why is she attacking Becky? And I'm thinking to myself, girl, you know exactly why she's attacking Becky. So that was kind of how I felt about that, man. I really thought she should have returned that Money in the Bank. Bob Ross Jr. here says, here's an example of wrestling bookers apologizing through booking. All right, cool. I asked Bob Ross for some examples on this. He says, Raw after WrestleMania 41 being so good, and it felt like Triple H was telling us sorry for us being disappointed in WrestleMania 41. Okay, I see what you're saying. Well, it's one of those things where I guess I see it as like, if you do such a bad job with a certain show, you don't want to lose any sort of, you don't want to lose the crowd. You want to remind them, hey, you actually like what you're seeing. Like, yes, we put on a bad show and it wasn't good, but damn, like, we could do a good job and watch us redo a good job, right? So maybe, you know what, Bob, I can't really argue. I cannot argue you on that. Raw after Mania banged. It was great. And it was far better than WrestleMania 41, unfortunately, which is not the way it's supposed to be, but that's the way it ended up working out. Bob, thank you for that. It's a good example. I appreciate you taking the time to think of an example for that. All right, so let me see what else we had to get into. I think I basically covered everything at this point on the show, and yeah, I think that's it, everybody. Like I said, a pretty noteworthy edition of Monday Night Raw that is now going to have us questioning what the hell is happening next. But that's where we're at with everything. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me here today. And I promise you, Santi will be back next week. But obviously, you know, he had a lot of things going on his stream. So totally cool. Thank you guys so much. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're new here or if you've already been here, but you just keep forgetting, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. And then also, if you haven't already, go over to the Facebook page. The Facebook page is finally blowing up. A couple of days ago, I was sitting at 5,000. Yesterday, I was sitting at 6,900. And then the last time I checked a couple of hours ago, I was at 7,500. So it seems like Facebook is finally starting to notice me and push out my content. So go in there, leave some comments, spam the like buttons. And I go in there every single night and read comments and respond to people. I'm constantly looking at all of that stuff. Check out all of everything that I've been posting. Keep an eye out. Tomorrow, I think I'll be doing an AEW interview. So keep an eye out for that. That should be going up tomorrow. But other than that, thank you guys so much. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.